I wanted to draw your attention to Psalm 136. Psalm 136, it's a rather unique psalm, as you'll see. It says, "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his loving kindness is everlasting. Give thanks to the God of gods, for his loving kindness is everlasting. Give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his loving kindness is everlasting. To him who alone does great wonders, for his loving kindness is everlasting. To him who made the heavens with skill, for his loving kindness is everlasting. To him who spread out the earth above the waters, for his loving kindness is everlasting. To him who made the great lights, for his loving kindness is everlasting. The sun to rule by day, for his loving kindness is everlasting. The moon and stars to rule by night, for his loving kindness is everlasting. To him who smote the Egyptians in their firstborn, for his loving kindness is everlasting. And brought Israel out from their midst, for his loving kindness is everlasting. With a strong hand and an outstretched arm, for his loving kindness is everlasting. To him who divided the Red Sea asunder, for his loving kindness is everlasting. And made Israel pass through the midst of it, for his loving kindness is everlasting. But he overthrew Pharaoh and his army in the Red Sea, for his loving kindness is everlasting. To him who led his people through the wilderness, for his loving kindness is everlasting. To him who smote great kings, for his loving kindness is everlasting, and slew mighty kings, for his loving kindness is everlasting. Sihon, king of the Amorites, for his loving kindness is everlasting. And Og, king of Bashan, for his loving kindness is everlasting. And gave their land as a heritage, for his loving kindness is everlasting, even a heritage to Israel, his servant, for his loving kindness is everlasting. Who remembered us in our low estate, for his loving kindness is everlasting, and rescued us from our adversaries, for his loving kindness is everlasting. Who gives food to all flesh, for his loving kindness is everlasting. Give thanks to the God of heaven, for his loving kindness is everlasting." It doesn't take a scholar or somebody who's an expert in hermeneutics to realize there's a repeated theme in this psalm. And that repeated theme revolves around one Hebrew word, and it's the Hebrew word hesed. Some translations translate it loving kindness, some translate it faithfulness, love, steadfast love, mercy. It's an attribute of God, but it's so complex, the English language just can't fully translate and explain what this attribute is and all that it entails, which is why you have so many different translations. It's very complex and difficult. Hesed describes God's kindness and benefits toward man. His compassion, his mercy, his affection, his goodness, his faithfulness and fidelity at keeping his covenant, his unrelenting love and his unrelenting favor toward mankind. And included in that word is this element of eternality or unceasingness, which is why the New American Standard translated his loving kindness is everlasting. So Psalm 136 gives us all the multifaceted way God's loving kindness, his hesed, is displayed toward his people. It's displayed in his goodness, verse 1, his uniqueness, verses 2 and 3, his creation, verses 4 through 9, his redemption, 10 through 15, his shepherding care, verse 16, his judgment, verses 17 through 20. His favor, 21 through 22. His compassion, 23. Deliverance, 24. His provision, verse 25. And his dominion, verse 26. So the purpose of Psalm 136 is to exalt and magnify the loving kindness of God, but it's for the express purpose that we would then give thanks to God. That's really the point of this psalm. It's our obligation to give thanks to God because of his loving kindness. And you can see that in the structure of each verse. Verse 1 begins, give thanks. 2, give thanks. 3, give thanks. But then the psalm writer leaves that off, but it's still implied in verses 4, 5, 6, 7. Give thanks to him who alone does great wonders. Give thanks to him who made the heavens, and so on and so forth. Each stanza begins with give thanks, but then it says 4. Here's the reason why you should give thanks to the Lord. Because his loving kindness is everlasting. And so as we read Psalm 136, it should cause us to pause and think, how has God's loving kindness been displayed towards you, toward me? How has his mercy been poured out in your life? In what ways have his benefits been bestowed upon you? If you're a Christian, at some point in your life, all 11 of the descriptions from this psalm has been manifested to you. His compassion, his affection, his goodness, and his faithfulness to keep his covenant with you. So no matter what, no matter the circumstances we face in this life, we can always give thanks, if for nothing else, because the Lord's loving kindness is everlasting.